Hey guys, this is Matt with Comax Gaming and welcome to another SourceMod tutorial. So today I'm actually gonna cover something different. I'm gonna teach you guys some stuff that's gonna be like very useful for you, and also I'm gonna teach you how to make tracers, like an entity or a certain point or anything you want. So yeah, let's get started. So what I want to talk about is tracers. You know how in roleplay mods, if you actually ever tried being a cop, you know there's a tracer coming out of you and pointing at the person that has crime. Now that's done via tracers, of course, and it's a function that's built in SourceMod. And it might not be quite easy to understand because it has like a bunch of arguments, but I'll try to explain it as the best way I can. So yeah, what we want to do here is actually start precaching some stuff. So for the precache, we want to type new g beam sprite. Oops. I'm gonna teach you guys in a second what's that for. mg hello sprite. These are sprites that are required by the function. Like the function needs these two sprites to actually make the effect, like the tracer, sort of. Okay, so now once we have this, a thing I wanted to talk about that I never did before, I've never done that, is precache. Now, precaching stuff, what's that for? It's basically gonna like load a model or a song or anything, a sound most likely, before the map starts. So when the server wants to use that sound or sprite or model, it's already loaded. It's there. It's in the memory, I guess. Sort of. We can call it that way. Because if it's not there, it's probably gonna throw you an error, or not gonna work, or it's gonna crash your server. So precaching is really important and is necessary. So we want to use a map start, my bad, here. And when you're precaching, you always want to, use a map start. You don't want to use unplug and start. You don't, believe me. I think that's gonna cause an error and crash your game, or no, I mean your server. So yeah. So these sprites that we created up here, we wanna copy them and type these equals precache. So you can see you have a lot of like decals, generic model. You have like a bunch. We want to precache the model in this case. So yeah, and it says the string model, and the boolean says preload, and it's set to false. So yeah, what's preload? I'm gonna show you guys in a second. It says if load is true, the file will be precached before the level startup. That's what I said before, that this is what we need to actually make this work. We need to load stuff before the map or the level loads. So the material to this is materials /sprites laser beam.vmt. It's a sprite, right? It's not a model, but yeah, it's not a decal, so we're gonna use model. The same thing with hello sprite, but we want to change the path and to hello, actually. Hello 01. There are a bunch of these, so yeah. Okay, so these are the two precaches that we need. I believe that these are the only ones. And now we want to say public on plugin start. Whoops. Okay, so yeah, to start with, I'm gonna do something to like sort of in the roleplay mod, and when you type sm where and the name of the player, it's gonna track where he is, and it's gonna set a tracer to him. So let's get started. Reg console cmd, want this to be public. Sm where is command find comma and the description, which I'm not gonna type, obviously. Here, want to type public command find. Whoops. Public action, because we want to have a return the client and arguments. Okay, so as always, this is the basic stuff. Because we want an argument, we're gonna check if they type it. If args is less than 1, we want one argument. We want to say reply to command, which is, yeah, it replies instead of like printing the chat or console. This is going to decide where it's going to print it. Like if I type the command in the console, this is going to say, okay, the command was inputted through the console, so I'm going to print to the console. And if it was done via the chat, then this is going to say, okay, this was sent through the chat, so I'm going to print this to the chat, basically. So when I print to the client, I want to say, please enter a player name. And we're gonna close this and return. Plugin handle, wanna stop. Okay. Wanna reg new string. It's gonna be called arg1, since it's a name I wanna give it. So yeah. Get cmd args or arg, pretty much arg1. The buffer is going to be arg1, comma size of arg1. This is all basic stuff that I have already explained. So yeah, you should go check out the old tutorials if you don't get any of this code, because everything is there. Okay, so we want to set new target equals find a target. Target. Client is going to be client who issued the command, so obviously client. The target is going to be client's target argument, arg1. No bots, and yeah. Immunity. You know how SourceMod has immunity for, if you have an immunity of 45 and you want to target someone with a higher immunity than you have, it's gonna say you cannot target this player. If you set this to true, it's gonna execute the target finder with filtering the immunity. Like it's gonna check if your immunity is lower or higher. But if you set this to false, actually it's gonna ignore the immunity. So yeah, arg1 is what we input, the part of the name of the client. This is how it's gonna find it, and then the client is you, of course. So yeah, we're not gonna set any of that, honestly, because we don't need it. Or yeah, if you want, you can set that. I really think it's not necessary at all, but whatever. So we're gonna say if target equals -1. So if this defined target returned -1, it means that it returned a error. Whoops. So we want to say print to reply to command. Actually, I gotta get used to that. Client was not found, and we want to return again. I'm gonna copy and paste faster. But if the client was actually found, we want to actually point to the client. So we want to say te, which is the prefix for every beam and all the stuff. It has a meaning, but I forgot it. So yeah, and we're gonna use setup beam points. No, beam. I believe it was laser. Let me check, because there are a lot of these. Start entity, yep, it was this one. So as you can see, it has a bunch of arguments. So the start entity is the entity where we want to start the beam from. In that case, that's us, so we want to start from the client. The end entity is going to be the player that we want to target, so it's going to be our target. The model index, precached model index, that's going to be beam sprite, and then we're going to use the hello sprite. So here I'm going to type this beam and then hello. This is temporary, I'm going to change that in a second. Then it's going to say start frame, initial frame to render. You can actually I think this is an integer. Yeah, it's an integer. So we're gonna set this to 1. If I'm not wrong, because it's kinda confusing. The life is gonna be the duration of the beam. I don't know if we should loop this. So we're not. So we're gonna actually set this to 60. But oh, whoa, comma. Did I mess up? We probably did. Yeah, this is the frame rate. Frame rate is gonna be like 30 frames. Then I broke it. Set up beam laser. Actually, guys, this is gonna take a lot of time, so I'm gonna set it up and explain each one of those in a second. Baby. Okay, guys. So the start is gonna be the client. The end is gonna be our target. The model index is going to be our beam sprite. The hello sprite is going to be our hello sprite that we precached before. The start frame is going to be 1 or 0. It's the same. It doesn't matter. The frame rate is going to be 20. The life is going to be 60 seconds. The width is going to be 20, and the end width is going to be the same. The fade length is going to be 10. Is how are we going to be able to see this? The amplitude is going to be like something like the width. So we want to keep it as 20 as well. And then we have the color. As you can see, it's in this curly braces. This is because color is an array, and it needs 4 colors. So R, G, B, A: red, green, blue, and alpha. You can change this if you want. This is gonna be like totally white, and then the speed of this, of how long it's gonna be like. Refreshing, I believe. I think this is the tracer. I don't know. And then we want to say TE send to client, not to all, to client. To all is gonna send like to every client in the game, and we don't want that. We only want to send it to this client. So client, comma, and the delay is gonna be 0.0. So we're gonna leave it as default, which is 0.0. And we want to return once again, and we want to say print to chat target to the. We want to print to the target and say someone is targeting you. No. Someone is getting your location. Easy as that. If we actually wanted to, we could actually copy and paste this and change the color of this to red, or any color you want actually, and send it to the target as well. Wanna send later actually. Wanna send this first to the client white, and then we wanna set red. We want to send the red one to the target so it knows that someone is targeting him. So I'm going to test this in game like really fast. Guys, I forgot to say, we need SDK tools for this or you're going to get an error. So add this code to the start of it. After the include SourceMod, you want to include this file. Okay guys, I'm in game and I'm going to type where is EXO, which is the name of my friend. And as you can see, there's a beam coming out of me and there's another beam coming out of him. I changed some code, so please check out the source code of this tutorial. Please read it up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. This was Matt with Comax Gaming.